If you've ever wanted to build a Cherokee that you could absolutely just thrash on, this has been your series to learn how. If you've ever watched videos of people just beating on them and you're just sitting there wondering how do they get them to hold up. Some people just go out and do it and get lucky, and there's some people that I got them figured out. I'm that guy. So if you're just getting on board with this project, I built the rear end, I built the whole front end from top to bottom, every nut, bolt, bracket, spacer, shim, brace, you name it. So between these two videos right there, if you want to build a Cherokee to get it to hold up like other people, I got you covered. So we got both those took care of. There's still some things underneath there that I want to do, and there's a lot of stuff up here I want to do. But, so what are we going to be doing in this video? Let's figure it out. Some crazy stuff that you wouldn't even think about. The battery trays in a Cherokee from the day they was built to the day they quit producing them will not hold a battery. So you can strap them down, you can bolt them to here, you can put ratchet straps on them. They'll just keep on busting the battery mount. And if you get in a little fender bender and crush in right here, smash your battery, that'll ruin your day. So we're gonna be moving it in the back. Same thing goes on this side. Probably wouldn't believe it, but if you get into a fender bender with your PCM located right here, could be a bad time. So I got a simple place to put it. Simple, really simple. We're gonna go on that. We're gonna accomplish that. If you've got a Dana 30 and you've got these RCVs and you've welded the front differential, or you're running a locker, a stock power steering pump will get the job done. The only problem is you need a cooler to keep it cool, or you're gonna murder your power steering pump. I'll teach you how to do those. Pretty simple, highly recommend it. And you do not want to be running one of these things. I'll explain later. At some point I'll show you what these things are. They're pretty cool. And if you've got some good steering like I've got, you'll know that the Cherokee, the steering boxes will not stay attached to the frame. They'll break the frame out. I got a simple way to fix that, and I think this Jeep particular, I'm gonna try even a new style. That thing needs to stay where it's at. And later in the video, you're gonna realize how these two are linked together. But I'm gonna be installing an aftermarket plate style transmission cooler. And I think if you own a Cherokee or don't even own one, you've heard of they run hot. We're gonna be opening this box and we're gonna be talking about the cooling system. And this one even has a factory transmission cooler, but we're gonna be tossing that. We'll talk about that later. There's a whole lot gonna be going on in this video. We're even gonna be talking about wheel stiffeners. Actually, I'm not using these. I got a better way. If for some reason you didn't know, this is a $5,000 or cheaper build for Bleepin' Jeep's Beast Wars is what he's calling it. A $5,000 or less build. I'm teaching you how to do everything you need to do, but we're on a budget, so we're trying to stay way below $5 grand. One thing I like to run is limit straps, and these things are actually quite pricey. They're about $40 to $60 a piece or more. Harbor Freight had these on sale for $5. So right there is 20 bucks in limit straps. We're either gonna run those or we're gonna go to the junkyard and get some seat belts and make our own. But we're probably gonna run those for 20 bucks. There's probably gonna be tons more come up, but that's what, when you think of building a Cherokee just to hold up, you think of suspension and parts that you can buy and throw at it. And if you follow me underneath there, really haven't done probably what you think we do. But there's more that just goes on than just throwing parts at them. So throughout this video, this may be 2 parts, honestly. I'm just gonna be going through lists of things that I would do to a Jeep to make it hold up. Actually, this Jeep has to hold up, so we'll get there. I've got about 2 weeks to finish this up. I still gotta build a roll cage. That'll be a different video. So I think let's get started. And the reason, if you watch the other 2 videos with the front and rear end, the reason I stopped, I need my tires and wheels put on. So that is first priority, is cheap budget beadlock wheels. I ain't even opened the box. I hope they're what I ordered. And then we'll talk about the tires and wheels. So we'll get those knocked out, get this thing sitting on some tires and wheels, and start knocking some stuff out. Just a reminder to say that we're on a budget, so everything I've done has been the cheapest I can do. So if you're following this whole series, I'll explain soon. The Jeep had wheels, but they were mismatched, and some were aluminum, some were steel. So I don't know as far as throwing on the budget if this even counts, but this is just legit the factory wheel that would have come on the Jeep. I had some laying around, so it's kind of hard to put a price tag on those when you already had them, and it's what should have been on the Jeep in the first place. And you're probably wondering why I went with a factory wheel. Number one, cost. Number two, about as skinny of a wheel as you can get that's still pretty strong. So I hadn't really run these off-road much, but we're gonna be putting bead locks on them, and I don't have the material here yet, but we're gonna be stiffening the bead up. Because if I haven't said, the Jeep right there, I'm building this thing up to like the top tier beater level you can imagine, and then I'm gonna give it away. But that's gonna be months from now. So when I give this thing away, I want it to be as good as I feel like it should be before I hand the title over to you. I'd say key, but I don't think it's gonna have a key. So those are pretty solid wheels. And I don't know, but I got a set of used wheel spacers. We might be running those, we might not. I actually prefer not if the tires were clear. If you know me, usually I build these setups on 32s to 33s, and that's what I prefer. But a buddy of mine posted those tires on Marketplace for $450. It's like, they're 35s. I don't want them. Then they went to $350. Next thing I know, they went to $250. So I texted him. I was like, "What'll buy the tires?" He said, "Give me $200. Come get them on my way." So if you know my green Jeep, these are the same brand, MRT, which are like a stupid. I'm trying to figure out if these are the Kevlar series. But these are actually like a race tire for UTVs, quality race tire. But they are stickies and they are tough. Hoping they're gonna hold up. They're bigger than I want, but when money's cheap, you just gotta go with it. Look how soft they are. You think of any other car or tire you put on a vehicle and you stand on them, they don't move. So I'm excited about those. I don't want to see them on the Jeep. It's just I'm a tire and wheel person. Now, you've probably seen the video that I did with my brother's Jeep. I just found out about these beadlock kits. Like a standard, just cheap beadlock wheel and tire now costs you about what, $300? So that's $1,200 plus for a set. And I found these. I think of course, they went up as soon as I found them. And I am not sponsored by these. I didn't ask. I probably could have if I asked, but they cost me about $260 for all four. And like I said, those wheels are essentially free, so I'm gonna have about $300 in a set of wheels and a set of beadlocks that are good. Speedway motors, 253-1510. I guess if I remember, I'll put a link below. Let's see if we can get one opened up. They're pretty good and sealed. There we go. Yeah. So the crazy part is they are 16 bolt. They are not 32 bolt. And so far, put them on my brother's Jeep, they work perfect. That's something we forget. Beadlocks were invented for drag racing to keep from slipping the bead. But we're just going off-road. So far, these are holding up wonderful on his. They're so simple. They're not gonna work. Shoot. I gotta find a way to make them work. This is all the budget I got. So normally a wheel doesn't have this flat surface. Oh boy. I'm going to have to drill a hole in every one of these wheels. I'll get them apart, but the bolts, you see, are going to hit. Shoot. This really goes into my budget. Crap. Let's go look at another wheel. Now, I did think about running these wheels right here. I don't think they're as tough and they're ugly. Hey, they would actually work. Let me think. For some reason you didn't know, I got 1,200 Cherokees and I got a lot of junk. So here's that same kit, and you can see the bolts have clearance. They're actually pretty close right there, but that is that's a rough country wheel. And let's see if we can get in here. Here's just your standard bolt 32 bolt beadlock. That's just a bolt wheel right there. So the bolt's clear. All right, I didn't see this coming up. Let me see if I can acquire one of those wheels. I've got these wheels on my stroker Jeep that I honestly don't want on that Jeep. Then back here, I think these are 15 by 8. So I've got those wheels there. It's like I said, I really don't need an 8-inch wheel. I really need a 6, to be honest. See if we can find those other wheels. Alright, sorry about the noise, but these are... Okay, there's one, but I think I've got a full set over here. Yeah, they still got the tires on them, but... Got my wheel. Let's see if we can find one. Yeah, there's a full set. Let's see. Still gonna be close. I may have to lay y'all down and see. I think it'll work on that wheel. I really don't want to use that wheel. It's ugly, it's hideous, but I'm on a budget. What can I do? See if I got a bare wheel off. 38. So I got a Jeep, Manchi. Swallowed a bug. But I just store wheels in. So I think, yeah. If they need paint, it doesn't matter. So there's an ugly one. Yeah, let me get this laid out. No, that's actually an arrow wheel. What's the odds that you screwed screws into the tire? But I thought one of these. There it is, right there. Hold on. All right, I apologize about the camera if y'all seen where y'all are sitting. Let's see. Oh, we're Gucci. We're Gucci. So I think this wheel, in my opinion, does it not look skinnier? It's still ugly. No, that's not even the same wheel. Hot dog. Hold on. So see how that one's got squares in it? That one don't. That's the same wheel. Yeah, it'd work in that one too. So out of the two, I don't know which one I like better. All right, let me study on that and acquire 4 wheels. So I was right. I found another one, and I was sitting there wondering, like, what if this ain't a Jeep wheel? Well, there's the Jeep center cap bolted in, and this is pretty sure the original wheel I was looking for, and it's about 3/4 of an inch skinnier. So this is what I need. I've got 2. I'm just trying to see if I can locate 2 more. Trying to figure out if that's the same wheel as that. I'm pretty sure it is. Because I was just wondering if this one is skinny too. That's not even the same wheel. Holy crap. So that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's still a different wheel. So I don't know if that one's skinny or not. We gotta find us some wheels. That one's damaged, so it's perfect. All right, so I've located one more, and I think I figured it out. I found another set of the 6 spokes. Where we at? So, I'm trying to think. That is an 84 model, and it's got them, I think, all around. And there's another one. Yep, right there. Made to steal one off it. This one is a police Jeep. So I'm gonna say that's the 6-spoke. That must be the older ones that I'm trying to find. Whew. I got 3. I need one more. Could just wonder if it's got a spare. Nope. Just need that wheel right there. Surely I can find one somewhere out here. There's donut. Yeah, there's a full set of. There's 2 or 3 of them, and there's a whole set. So I've got a bunch of the wide ones. I just need one more skinny. Surely I can find it. Alright, sorry about my shenanigans, but I'm trying to get, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting just to sit it on there and weld it. So if you remember the tire pile we drove by, look at there. There's one right there. And of course I can't get back there. So I was walking around to get back there, and then boom. Remember the first one we saw? Ta-da. So that's my 4th wheel. And I do have a 5th if I need it. I just can't get back there to get it. So let me get these wheels in the shop. I got them loaded up, and when I pulled up, I seen this and wish I hadn't seen it. So that's like a 7 wide tire. That's the rim we was originally looking for, but when I put this on, it's gonna widen it about, I don't know. So now I'm gonna hard debate and figure it out if one's better than the other. I think I still want the skinny wheel. I'll figure it out. So I kind of forgot that I got a tire machine. So I got a skinny wheel, I got a wide wheel, and I put it on the skinny wheel first. I got a little trouble, I ain't gonna lie. I've been rolling the tire around flat, and it ballooned up. So that's a lot bigger than I wanted, but I think we're just gonna roll with it and see what happens, because we're on a time budget and money budget. But it's gonna be, the bead's gonna be on the outside here, so it's gonna widen out. But I just can't see any advantage to running a wider wheel. So we're just gonna go with these, I don't know, I mean, I don't think they're stronger. I'm sure anything made in the 80s is gonna be stronger than something made in the 90s. That's gotta be just a cheat, but maybe that braces it up a little bit. I don't know, we're gonna go with those. If I bend the wheel, you'll learn from me. As far as a DIY beadlock, this is about as easy as you could get. You just grind around here. I mean, you don't have to, you should. You just grind around there, which I've got a flat disc that I'm going to be using. See if it'll dive down in there. And then it don't really work this way, so I've got a air grinder. But you just honestly lay it down in the hole. I mean, you probably could clamp it. Yeah. Well, I'll just hold it down and give it some taps. But you can see the way these wheels are shaped, that gives room for these little tabs there, so they'll stick down in there. But yeah, I don't even know, my buddy was teaching me, I didn't read the instructions last time I did these, but lay a bead and then now air can go through. But I think when you clamp down, the tire's gonna seal right there. But pretty simple. When I get done, I'll show you. I ain't done it. He said you just took an air gun and blowed and squirted soapy water on your welds. And one thing, if you're doing them at home, make sure your valve stem, you don't want to put a bolt like right daggum center of it. So just try to put it, split it between that. Yeah, I'm gonna get these knocked out. I think I'm gonna be able to stiffen the wheels before I mount the tire. So hope that can happen. These are gonna be some ugly beadlocks. What do you think? You like the wheels? All right, I'll see y'all when I'm done. All right, we got a little cleaned up. Got the wheels over here. They're welded. We can check them for leaks, but honestly, I'm not a welder, but I think the welds are good enough that I don't have to worry about them leaking. So they're gonna chill. Hopefully, I'm gonna get the material tomorrow to do the back side. We'll show you that. And then we'll mount the wheels and tires and continue on. Got a long way to go with this thing. Not a long time to do it neither. Alright, next morning the wheels are pretty cool, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and take apart this whole cooling system and start working this in and open that box. I seem to have gotten myself carried away, and yeah, that camera died, so I missed a lot of footage. But where are we at? I was just doing some busy work, and one of the things, I got rid of all the stuff over here and all the stuff right here. And hopefully this makes sense. I'll try to explain it short and sweet, simple. We're moving the battery to the back. So we're not gonna run a ground wire from the back. We're gonna ground the battery straight to the chassis. So now the chassis is the ground wire. Now the original ground wire comes out of this harness. I found a spot right here, bolted it. It was kind of small. I don't really know why. So I went ahead and just built another one, and I put it on the dipstick stud, and then I bolted it to this bracket down there. So that's our ground. If that confuses you, you can get like these blocks right here and simply go get a cheap set of jumper cables, or a good set, and then you can mount, you know, them right there, and that'll be your hot, and you can go back to your original locations. I'm gonna try to avoid using it on this because we're on a budget. So what I did is, this is the original hot wire that comes from the starter. Same thing in this harness. It would have reached right there, but it was too short. So what I do is the main hot that comes from back there. Your starter is going to be your biggest draw. So I'm going to run the hot wire from the battery like you would a speaker amp. And then I'm going to run it straight down there to the starter. That's a shorter distance. Now the original starter wire is going to come up here to your fuse box and all that. So that's basically what I've done, is just connected the starter wire to this wire, which originally runs to the battery positive. So I feel like it's about as simple as it could get. You know, like I said, if you wanted to run a hot up to the stud and then run back off to the starter like that and then to this thing right there, you could put all those in one, but much simpler way. Oh yeah, and I think I've never heard anybody doing this. I just got copper tube, and obviously I cut it and to join two wires together, I just crimped it like you would. So I don't see, I mean, I've tried pulling on it. Seems like it worked good. So I'm gonna get that taped up and then make sure I'm gonna put zip ties around the tape so it doesn't come unraveled. So that's got that covered. Where are we at? We'll move the horns, they was down here. Now, normally, PCM mounts here. And like I said, if you crash it or get into a crash, it's just in a bad location. Normally, I'm not using this headlight harness. So you can take this harness, flop it over, pull this back. You can take this and just bend it up just a smidge. Put your ECM, PCM, whatever you want to call it, right in there. And then push this back down and the hood will keep it closed. And literally no bolts, no brackets, no nothing will hang out right there. But since I am going to be trying to have headlights on this one, I couldn't move this harness. So it's not done. I've got little brackets right here and I just drilled some holes. So yeah, the computer will sit right there. You'll see it eventually. But I'm kind of at a standstill. Can't do anything else in this area as far as the power steering or the radiator that may or may not be in that box. So I need to finish up my steering brace. So typically we run one chain, but I was trying to do this in just a little bit better, if you know, it's a giveaway. So I went to Relocating and got this kind of weird looking chain, but it's real skinny. And that way I can run one across the front sector and across the back of it. And you can see I've got some plates right here to make sure we got good material to weld to. Probably cover that hole up. So we're going to weld those there, and then we'll weld the chain to it, flop it over. Now on the bottom side, we've got an old shock bushing that I'll be welding to the chassis. And then I've got a cut off bolt. Actually, you don't have to cut it off now that I think about it. But I'm going to slide it through here, and I'm going to weld the chain to that, and then we can tie a nut, and we can pull our chain tight. So I'll show you when I'm done with that. That's got that covered. That's about it. I need to get the welder out to knock that out so I can, yeah, so I'm gonna knock those two out. Start worrying about our cooler system. One thing I did notice is this radiator, they had two hoses stacked. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get a hose, but yeah, let me knock that out. That ought to be pretty cool. I'll let you watch me when he tighten it up. All right, you can see I've got them welded. I went ahead and put the nuts on. I'm gonna pull the chain around to the top side, and then that way when I cut it off and weld it, I know I got enough to tighten it up. So go back to the top. So the part I forgot to say is this was a 6 foot, like 15 bucks maybe, 18. So I got 1, 2, 3 and a half. So that means I got about, what, $7 in this. So we'll count that. Oh, dropped it. See, now all I'm gonna do is lay it up here wherever, weld that, and then now I'll know I'll have enough threads to tighten them up. So let me knock that out. All right, we got them both welded to our tabs, so those shouldn't rip off. Well, I ain't gotta raise it up. Let's grab a 15 millimeter, tighten them up. All right, probably a pair of vice grips would work better, but heck, you don't even need it at all. How's that work? Oh yeah. Son, that's tight. I think this chain was rated for, shoot, why is it focusing? Sorry about that. The chain, I think the picture is rated for 500 pounds, so we got 1,000 pounds of chain holding that steering box on. So granted, we may break the frame. This is what I'm kind of challenging to rear this is what I'm kind of out to see. If the frame's gonna hold together, if the chain's gonna save the day. So time will tell with that, but moving up. Look at that. I like that chain better. It just tucks in there real nice and neat, but not in the way of nothing. It's good. Now I went and picked up some 3/8 rod. I bought all that Real King had. And this is the back of the wheel now. This is all I do, is I'll try to pre-bend this stuff and get it shaped, and then I can just take vice grips and work it down in there. I've already did this on one video, so I'm not gonna be exact with it, but I'll show you the end product. You should get the concept. So we'll get some of this rod pre-bent and then start working in there and getting those wheels done. And I wish I could paint them, but I gotta go to Windrock and this thing's gotta look cheap, or somebody could potentially buy it for 7 grand. I don't see 7 grand yet. We're getting there though. All right, I'm gonna knock these wheels out. See if I can get this thing sitting on some wheels and tires. Then we gotta work on cooling. All right, this is probably not something somebody's gonna do. I don't know, you might do it at home, but see if I can. I'm just gonna put the camera buck up in there. Somebody give me a Warren winch, no winch controller, so going to Windrock, I think I need a winch. And it's only 2,500 pounds, but realistically, when this Jeep's done, it should weigh about 3,000 on the dot. Our built rigs weigh 3,200. So I mean, if you could just get this winch, it's not gonna pull you out of a mud hole, or a big mud hole, but anyway, it's better than nothing. I don't think I need a 9,000 pound, but I did this on my green Jeep. This frame is obviously puny, and it'll start breaking, especially steering box in that area. So what I do, well, let me set the camera down, show you. I want like right here to have big heavy duty bolts in case we want to bolt something to it. So take this one, just a piece of pipe, and then y'all can see, slide the nut inside of it. It'll go. Now this one, we'll just barely stick the nut in there. Fits really close. Now we'll start the nut. Now we'll tighten the nut up. Now our nut is tight. So we'll slide this to just enough that I can get weld to the nut and weld to the body. And I've got these little gussets. Well, dropped it, but they're gonna go right there. So weld to there. Now I'm building some little bracers right here for the winch. Winch will come through here, will make us a fair lead in the bumper. Got heavy duty bolts to brace the frame up, and we're supporting our winch that's tucked away nice and neat. I'll show you when I get done. Alright, I got that done. I put some little thingamabobbers here. That way I'm gonna have to build a fair lead because I can't afford one to go in a bumper. But yeah, I put these and I was like, you dummy, I didn't want to put them close to the bolt. So I was like, if you put something there, you know, it's a fail-safe for the fair lead in case the winch gets tweaked. But now we've got big bolts for our bumpers. Probably should have welded the washers. Well, anyways, so that's got that took care of. And the tires, oh my gosh, they are a lot bigger than I want, a lot, but they're cheap and they're stickies and they're good tires, and I can air down when I go to this ride. Tell you what, let's grab a tape measure and just see what they measure. All right, this is the least tread one, and the way the tread is, golly. Okay, so we're actually better off than you'd think. These measure out 34. Justin's 32s I put on his Jeep measured 34, so there's a chance. But I don't care if these rub. What they do, they're $200. So if I go do this ride and they just get chewed to pieces, that's better traction, number one. And then if I have to put another set on after this to do the giveaway, it's the fine balance right now of spending money to make it good but not make it worth something so somebody wants to buy it. That's why I didn't paint the wheels. I got a cool color scheme coming for the wheels. That'll be after this ride. So, front end's pretty cleared. Obviously I gotta cut the fenders when I put them back on. The rear end I have not clearanced at all, so I think that's what I want to do now. Let me come up with a game plan. So the front can rub all this stuff. I've got rid of all the sharp edges. I hammered all the way up into there, cut some screws off. You know, this is just like a tub, so it's going to rub in places, make noises, stuff like that. But that is okay. The rear, it's a different situation. The situation with the rear is when you cut here, it turns into a straight line that cuts the tire when it flexes out. So only thing I know to do is just make this imaginary line, give or take, and cut it and start folding it. Well, if it was nice, you'd fold it under. This is not nice. I might still fold it under, but it sucks that there's another part in here. I don't really know what to do with it because it goes up into the cab. I don't know. I'm just going to start cutting and see what happens, and we'll go from there. We just don't want that sharp edge cutting the tire. Like right now, it's literally would just cut a tire as soon as you flex. Start cutting. I was kind of hustling because it's hot outside. I don't know if you can tell my shirt's soaking wet. But honestly, that probably just took me, I don't know, 30 minutes. Not even 30 minutes, honestly. So, let's check out what I did. I gotta let the Jeep down, but you can see folded that over. And this stupid Jeep is gonna be, after the event, this thing, if it don't get totaled, is gonna be freaking, every time I keep doing something, I do it better than my own. So I cut the outer fender and then I cut the inner fender right where the body line goes, and I folded it down so the tire can poke up in there if it needs to. And what I did is, well, I don't have to show you, but I measured from bump stop on here, the tube, to bump stop where it should be, even though it's not, about 12.5 inches, which is pretty good. But if it articulates, I know it's going to push up farther than that. See what I'm saying? So it'll tweak up. But as far as if you was to jump a hill, I measured like 12.5, and then from the top of the tire to the thing is about 12.5. So it's pretty close, honestly. Closer than I was expecting. I was expecting to have to tub the whole thing. Let's put the tires on. I apologize if that scene was confusing. I was finishing 2 other videos along with bringing y'all with. So, where we at? I ain't gonna lie, I'm not pleased with the way it sits. I put 3-inch blocks in the front. Yeah, that would have been a 3-inch spacer, unless it's not 3 inches, is it? That may have been all along. Yeah, actually, no, that's dead on 3 inches. So anyways, that's fine for now. We're just gonna leave it till we're done, and that's least priorities. I mean, that's perfectly rideable. My concrete does slope down, so let's see if we can approach a different angle. Less in the way, but yeah, I mean, it's hiked up in the rear. Like I said, got to put 20 plus gallons of gas in it, a battery, and the first time this thing's going out is going to Windrock, so I'm gonna have so many parts because I'm going by myself basically this time. So yeah, and a cage. So I'm in the cage will put more weight on the leaf spring, so we'll see. Then we'll worry about putting more spacer in the front, so it is drivable. So now I think I've got most everything tidied up under here. Got my radiator hose, well, right there. Actually found a new used one. So we're ready to open our box and start our cooling system. And man, that's getting down there for under the hood. Oh, that's one thing. I think I'm gonna end up moving this. Well, I don't have to, I guess. You know, I gotta build an air intake too. I don't want to stock air box on this thing. So let's get that box open and see what it looks like. I've yet to figure out why the internet, I guess is a general word, is so rough on these things. I've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them on my Jeeps, and then my buddies run them, and we all have positive things to say. Personally, I think, if I had my guess, I hadn't done a post, I want to do it kind of anonymously, is post a picture of your Jeep running what's in its box, which you probably should figure out by now. Aluminum rating. What I personally think is, and if you got one, I'd like to know your comment down there, but I think people that run really big lifts with really stiff springs, like long arm kits, I think it's flexing the chassis. And if you didn't know, aluminum doesn't flex. I got stupid expensive rock bouncer that's a solid chassis, but even aluminum radiator, that chassis tweaks because it's metal, steel, and aluminum doesn't eventually crack. So that's my theory why they're bashing these. I'm gonna keep putting them on until I break one. I ain't broke one yet. And they seem to cool a whole lot better. And giving the thing away. I wanted to just have good stuff. Huh. Perfect box. If you just ordered I'll just show you. Sold my first ever overhead console for an XJ within like 12 hours since I listed it. But, wow, it's probably gonna fit in that box right there. So you'll be getting that box, that radiator come in. That's cool. All right, so we got a radiator. We've got, I think this is a transmission cooler for a WJ with a hydraulic fan, if I remember right. So it's gonna go over here. We're gonna reroute our transmission lines, the shorter, safer, and it's in front of the manual fan, so the transmission's always getting cooled. Now the power steering is gonna go in front of the electric fan. And the power steering is not 100% mandatory. It's nice, but if you're just driving down the road, power steering isn't gonna need cooling. So therefore we're gonna put it in front of the electric fan. Have it on a switch. Obviously, if you're trail riding, turn it on, your power steering's cooled, and your transmission's always getting cooled. And the factory cooler for the transmission, we are not going to be using it. That just, in my opinion, puts heat from the transmission into the coolant, because hot comes in over here, the cool comes out over here, so you're absorbing some heat from your transmission to go into your motor. It's kind of, it's a good design up north, but for a trail rig, it's not a good design. Man, look at this. Gonna be nicer than the whole Jeep. So yeah, I'm gonna get this done, and then I'll show you what I did. There ain't really a step for showing. I'll just show you what I did, and you can pick up on it from there. So we'll get that knocked out. Maybe actually run this thing. That's what my brother asked. He's like, how's it drive? I was like, honestly, I've drove it in the shop and started doing all this to it. It's like, I can fix whatever needs to be fixed. I just gotta get this crap knocked out. So we'll get some stuff knocked out. We'll check out the perfect cooling system for a Cherokee, in my opinion, and I'll pick y'all up then. Oh, it's GoPro. So that's about where I honestly wanted the Jeep to sit. I mean, it's kind of level, maybe just a little bit back in the back. I don't have a perfected angle, but if you see the short arms there, I mean, they're going down at about, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 degrees. I mean, it would be better flat, but for a short arm Cherokee, Wrangler, doesn't matter. That's about where I'd prefer it to sit. Let's sit the camera down. And I don't, I changed springs, but I'm pretty sure there's XJ springs. So just watch it go down. You can see, just keeps going and going. And it goes down about, I don't know, 1.5 inches. So we may end up putting about another inch under the front end to get it where I like it. You know what I'm saying? If it had the original springs in there, it'd have been about 2 inches higher, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure. So let's check out the coolers. They're cool. Let me grab a light. If you don't know about AN fittings, I like using straights because they don't have an O-ring to go bad, but I only had 2. You can see they're mismatched. And then if you didn't know, that's a compression fitting to an AN fitting female or male, and that's just a regular AN. But I like to go up with my hoses and actually have slack in it. And you're probably wondering why I did this. Let's see if the camera's showing 180s. Well, I want to test that for y'all, so I couldn't cut it off. Normally, if it was mine, I'd go AN all the way to the transmission. It's fixable on the trail if you've got the parts. But I had 180s that I was just going to burn up because I got a drawer full of them. So it actually worked out perfect. Now I got enough hose. If you had to, I could literally just cut that line, put a couple heavy duty hose clamps on there, and this is basically just 3/8 hose. It'll hang in there, but trying to keep it out of the fan. I didn't want to go under the fan. There's nothing to zip tie to. So yeah, that's that. Transmission lines out goes to the bottom, so that should push all the air out, float the air out, and hopefully it'll get pushed out of there. Same principle over here. If you've never done a power steering cooler, it's about as simple as it can get. Fluid comes from the reservoir, gets pressurized, comes out under pressure, goes into the box, does its job, and then it's released as non-pressurized fluid. So you find this hose that comes out right under here, you can't see, Normally it's just got a rubber hose that will go straight back to the reservoir for the fluid to complete its cycle. So all you do is just steal that fluid that comes out of the box. I mean, it's not the compression line, the crimped one. You just cut it. Well, you don't even have to cut it. If you can see, I just got it slid over and clamped on there, and then you just run it out. Again, we're going to go to the bottom. It's going to push all the air out of the top, and it should push the air through here, get the air out of the system, and voila, you've got a really good power steering cooler. So we should have good power steering. It's a Chrysler pump, as long as the guy that sold it to me says it's good. We'll get some thin weight fluid in there. We'll check the transmission, and that's about it for the cooling system. Obviously we got to put the fan on a switch. Don't have to, but it's off-road rig, so you're going to do it. I think in the morning I'm going to flush the cooling system. Actually, I should do it tonight. I'm going to do it tonight, so it'll be dry in the morning. But anyway, I'm going to flush the cooling system out. It's just got some nastiness in there, and I don't want it in this radiator. And then I got to find, maybe put a shroud. I think I can fit a shroud. And got to get an electric fan. I don't remember where mine ended up. So get that, and then get this tower. Oh, I didn't show you. So normally, you know, I don't run a radiator up here, but the chain was hitting right there. So what I've done is, well, I hit it with a hammer first off. You may have seen it in time lapse. Just flatten it out. Then I just put a ginormous washer. So I've got a little bit of lift kit. We've got plenty of clearance. I just hope that this will, it should sandwich down. So yeah. Then hopefully we got clearance for there. Sometimes I'll move this radiator forward, but I don't want to do this one yet because we are going to have a grill and all that. So looking good, getting there. There's still obviously stuff to do, but it's getting down to the nitty gritty. I think I'm about ready to just take it off the lift, roll it forward. Whew. As far as the cage goes and the seats, that's going to be a job. Still got to make a shifter. The thumb shifter, still in the ignition switch. And I don't know if y'all have actually seen in here. I mean, technically for the Windrock trip, this is how I need to leave it because it looks cheap, but I got to build a cage, so I got to get in there to the floor to mount the cage. So I think I got to clean it out, which sucks, but yeah. So we'll go do some work in the morning. We'll fire this thing up. I ain't even heard it with a muffler, and I ain't even checked the transmission. I ain't done nothing. I've just drove it in the shop. Brings a little crooked. Alright, I'll see y'all in the morning after a flush radiator. Alright, I forgot to flush the radiator. I think that was the last thing I left off on. But we got a few more things before I set this thing on the ground, and it may not go back in the air. Probably will. But I forgot that I was moving a battery, so I've got a piece of wire. And all I did, if you look, I'm gonna hold the camera up high, you can see the big wire right there. I've added another wire, and then if you notice the firewall, where are we at? I drilled a hole, and I'm gonna make it better. That's just stuck through there so I can get it to crank. And one simple thing, if you see that hose clamp I've added, right here, this pops in this socket, and when this transmission mount jumps around, it'll push over and it'll pop out of that socket. So put a hose clamp right there. Just lets it not slide over as much. Seems like there's one more thing. No, I got everything zip tied up. I got a fear of a brake line on this trip. I'm gonna carry a brake line. And I wanna do something to the transmission mount, but it is not priority. And I wanna do something right here, but it's not priority neither. So I think that's all I gotta do under here. See my transmission lines, I got them zip tied up. Chain is tight. So yeah, I'm gonna let this thing down and actually flush the radiator like I said, and should have time to fire it up tonight and check everything else out. Still got a lot of work to do. Real quickly, if you can tell, the radiator system was quite dirty, so yeah, glad I flushed it out before I went in that radiator. Alright, I got the battery wires run to the back. I had the battery hooked up backwards. Luckily, I stopped and redid it. Otherwise, I don't know what all it does. I know it fries the computer. So yeah, I'm running transmission fluid in the power steering. Honestly, I don't know why. That's what I got. I'm gonna fill it up. I'm trying to think there's a way. Okay, we're back to not being able to shut it off. I'm gonna pull the plug wire off. Now I'm just gonna see, well actually no, let's just go ahead. As soon as it fires up, I'm gonna kill it, because it's, I've taught this before. As soon as it sucks it dry, it's gonna compress air bubbles and they're gonna explode, and your whole power steering system's gonna rah. No coolant in it yet. I have not started it since I drove it in the shop. This is a wild build. I know y'all are, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'm going to do Windrock, and I haven't not drove this Jeep at all. I've just worked on it for like, well, right now it's September 25th, and I started it July 2nd. So that's July, August 2nd, September. This will be pushing 4 months. I've been working on it. Not constantly, but yeah. Make sure it's in park. The ignition switch has like been rained on because the Jeep's been flipped on its side. It's not really with us anymore. I'm gonna change it. I forgot how to kill it. Alright, sounds like they got the fan wired straight. Let's just undo that for now. Shouldn't need it. Sounds better. Didn't think of that. That's Justin come over here. He's like, did you actually leave those nasty 5 lifters in there? Yeah. So we're still on a gamble. Alright, round 2. Still getting bubbles. Nothing's on the ground. Golly, this steering box. Oh, I got the behind so loose. Tell you what, since it's still basically on the lift, let's just cycle it in the air. Propane torch on there. This thing's gonna get off this lift in this video, I promise you that. Enough. I don't even know if you gotta crank it. Let's listen for bubbles. Yeah, I heard some bubbles there. That's where we at. About where we want to be. Alright, let's go for a startup. I'll be back where y'all got. Doesn't sound terrible. Sounds like it got an exhaust leak, which is weird. I'll let y'all come with me before it catches on fire. Just obviously it's still got a mist, but that propane thing is not needed to be right there. I will say that. I'll say that. There's propane right where the exhaust is going. Getting cleaned up. I don't know why it sounds like a leak. You know, I bet I never tightened a donut up. I bet that's what that is. Yep, I don't think I ever tightened that thing. Alright, I'm gonna get transmission fluid checked, all the donut tightened up and stuff like that. We'll squeeze her forward. I'm sorry about the noise. I'm about to burn this Jeep and just not go. I keep adding coolant, water. I got the mist figured out, but I keep adding to it. I noticed when I drove it up here from down there, it's like it was running a pipe. Well, I noticed when I drained the coolant, there was no. So right here, I've noticed that this is leaking pretty bad. So flashlight. You notice back there that there's hot steaming water. Can you see that? Steaming water right on the ground. I haven't got under there, but it is pouring. See that? Here. Yeah, hot steaming water is boiling on the ground off the tailpipe. I think the rear freeze plug is busted out of the block. It turned off. It doesn't even show temperature yet, but I don't think that works. This thing has just been nothing but disaster. So yeah, if it's hot steamy water, that's obviously it's hot out of the block. And it's leaking at the back of the motor. And I know the head's good. Oh my goodness. Let me do some digging. Shows no oil pressure. Look at it. Maybe we do have a crank sensor issue after all this. I'm gonna sit here and spray some water. Actually, I'm not gonna cut this thing, but I might speed it up. It's 9 o'clock. See, right now we still don't have a voltmeter. Alright, no, this is not why y'all clicked on the video. So I was beating the fenders in, if you knew, and right down here is ironically what I was arguing on the forums last night. And that makes me wonder, because if you remember, and I was like just sitting there wondering, I was like, there's nothing to go wrong in here. There's nothing to go wrong. And I just realized, like, you can't do that. All this gankly stuff here, I gotta get it fixed. No way. It shuts good. That's actually pretty nice. Camera focus. Got a custom winch hole. That's some stuff there. Pretty good steering. We'll see. This hunk of junk is backing out of the shop. I knew this day would come. I just never actually expected it.